working? Is it working? Is it working? Hey, there we go. There's going to be a little bit of a delay, but there I am. Okay. Hold on, let me set this up. Leave it. All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's taken a little while to get this set up, and I think that it's a function of this new internet and everything, but there you go. Everybody see me now? Okay, there you go. Here we are now. Great. Okay. Okay. I just have to figure my screens here a little bit. And yeah, I had to wear an Iron Maiden shirt tonight because all the Unfound shirts are in my boxes somewhere. And couldn't find them. Here I am. Yes, I'm here. I just need to get these screens configured a little bit better. What is going on here? Okay. Okay, am I going to see the chat? Am I not going to see the chat? What's going on here? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see you, Gene and Derek. I see what you're writing. Okay, I can see you all. You have your Amanda Fravel on. Okay, I apologize, everybody. I'm a little late, a little discombobulated after a day of moving, but Stacy and Dee and LaFord and Ann and Layla and Mark and Jasmine and Pamela and Carol and Just Dino and Miranda and Jean and MMH Shannon and Cherie and Carrie and Courtney and who else? Derek, Tracy. Okay. All right. You like that back? You like that back there? Oh, well, the reason I have to put this up in the air a little bit, because if I were to pull this camera down a little bit, you would see the mess that is behind me. Okay? It's a complete mess. All right, I'm just telling you that. Moved everything over, have not put anything away, nothing. So, yes, I was too busy eating pizza, Layla. Right. I was too busy eating pizza. Joyce and Christine Blaze, thank you all for joining in tonight. Yeah, and Derek moving up to the east side, moving on up, yes. And in fact, that joke was made between me and the guy who helped me move today. And I just want to give a huge shout out. His name is Blake Herrick. He is my personal trainer. He's been the guy that's turning me from new Thor into old Thor. Of course, if you saw Avengers Endgame so far, you know what I'm talking about. I look like new Thor. He has me now looking like old Thor. And he wasn't doing anything this morning, so he volunteered just out of nowhere to help me move. It was fantastic. Everything went pretty smoothly. I was actually moved all the big stuff by about I returned the U-Haul at about 2:30 today. And then I just had to put some things in my car and came over here, and here I am. Hugged my old landlord, Terry, goodbye, gave her the key, and I was gone, and I picked up a pizza on the way over here. So there you go. And like I said, if this camera was pointing down any further, you would see the mess that is back there. But that direction actually is the direction, the door to the place is over here. The kitchen is right on the other side of the computer, and this is actually the living room and TV room. My bedroom is over that direction, and then the other bedroom is over there. So it's really nice. And yeah, I got a piece of the pie, Derek. Yes. The cheat day is going pretty well. It was a modified cheat day, being that I was moving. But the move went really well. Got the U-Haul at about 9 a.m. Picked up, no problem. Came over. I pretty much had everything boxed up and just, I don't own any furniture barely. So it's just boxes of clothes and stuff. And we just loaded it in there, got it over here. There's an elevator in this building, so we had to ride the elevator up and down and up and down and up and down until we got everything over here. And here I am. I'm gonna have my bed has a ton of I put like stuff on it. Before I go to bed tonight, I'm gonna have to clear the bed off before I jump in. Carol says, so excited my daughter ordered me Unfound 1, 2, and 3. Picking up her house Friday. Thank your daughter for me, Carol, and please contact me to let me know what you think about them. If you want to talk about any of the cases, you let me know. Mark says, you know who your true friends are when you have to move. Mark, that's really true. That's really true, but you know, moving on a Wednesday. I mean, who has off work on a Wednesday morning? So I'm not going to give my friends too hard of a time. But Blake was available, and we had some good talks. He listens to the program, so we talked about some cases and stuff. So it was good. Bree, ooh, what kind of pizza? It was a Philly steak and cheese pizza, Bree, from a local pizzeria here out on Gulf Boulevard. Jessica, you're picking up a pizza too. It's a good pizza day. Moving does kind of blow, but it was a good one today. I really can't complain. I was telling Blake today that the move I did in 2005 when I was in Las Vegas, I was moving from East Tropicana down to South Rainbow, put everything in the U-Haul. We pulled out into the street. The U-Haul blew a radiator hose. True story. Had to wait for a tow truck, towed the U-Haul over to the place where I was moving to, took everything out of the U-Haul, and then they towed it away. That actually happened to me. That was 2005. That would have been June 2005 that happened. So this compared to that was really, really smooth. Carrie says the cheat day doesn't even count. You moved. We'll figure that out on Saturday. How much did the U-Haul cost you? Not a lot. I think it was like $67 total, something like that. Anyone watching I've never watched an episode of Game of Thrones, so if you guys want to talk Game of Thrones, then I'm totally out of that. Yes, Dino. Yeah, furniture just holds you down. Blake and I were talking about that today. Derek says, Philly, I'm from the Philly area. It's good. I haven't eaten it all. I think it was pretty big. I think I ate 5 pieces. I think I have 3 pieces to go. It's good. It's good pizza. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day to move. We got out there and it was like nice and cool, windy. It did get hot this afternoon, though. I think it got up to 90 today. Have you ever been to Pizza John's in? I know. Okay. So we're all caught up. So today was moving day. And once again, I want to thank Blake. We had a good time just BSing about stuff. And I have an appointment with him tomorrow at noon for personal training. So we'll see how I feel tomorrow when I go over there for him to kick my butt one more time. LaFord says, oh, thank you, Ed. I'm just moving up the street. Not a lot of furniture either. You have given me hope. Just got to plan beforehand, LaFord. You got to be prepared. You know, luckily I started packing my stuff away like 10 days ago. So when it came to the day to move, pretty prepared. In fact, I was absolutely prepared to do it all myself. I think that I had figured it out that I'd be able to do it all myself, but obviously I didn't have to do that, and that was nice. Carrie says, that's the only part of my move I'm not looking forward to. Loading a 26-foot truck, driving it to Texas, unloading it again. Yeah, done it. No fun. No fun, Carrie. But, you know, I was telling my landlord, Terry, who I had been renting from for 7.5 years, that except for the house that I grew up in Gilpin Township, Pennsylvania, living in that place down in Madeira Beach is the second longest. That's the longest I've ever lived somewhere. Because when I lived in Las Vegas, I lived there 13 and a half years. I lived in 7 different apartments. So I was like, that's less than an average of 2. I was moving in less than every 2 years. So, I'm used to moving. I'm used to moving, and I know what it takes to get prepared to do that. It just had been a while since I had to do it. Yeah, you got to be prepared, LaFord. I sell furniture for a living. I probably have too much, Courtney says. Yeah. Just like people who sell cars and get into cars and things. They tend to collect cars so there you go. But I still have a lot of work to do. I got to put a lot of stuff away. I really don't know right now where my office is going to be, where I'm going to set up my computer and all that stuff. I don't have that figured out. I'm probably not going to be able to even do it until this weekend, probably. So, but everything's here, and it's good to be moved in. I got to do some food shopping. I got a lot of things to do before this really becomes, my place. But I went in, took a shower in the new bathroom and everything. It's just great. It's just great, and I'm glad that it went as smoothly as it did. Derek says, have you ever seen the movie Dreamgirls? It's really good, awesome music. Derek, I have seen the movie Dreamgirls, as a matter of fact. I have. I wouldn't say it's the best movie musical out there, but it's pretty good. It was pretty good. How many of you went to see Avengers Endgame this past week, and how many of you got to see it? Please do not post any spoilers about it on here. Please do not do that. But I got to see it. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I will tell you that I really believe that Robert Downey Jr. should be considered for an Academy Award nomination for his performance in the movie. And especially, it would be probably an embodiment of his whole entire work with Marvel. But he was exceptionally good. He had to show a lot of range, I thought, in this movie. And he should be considered. I'm not saying he should absolutely win or anything. I'm not saying this is like Heath Ledger with, The Dark Knight and all that. I'm not saying it that. But Robert Downey Jr. did really, really well. Tracy, you've seen it? All right, great. Yeah, it was good. And I wouldn't say it's the best MCU movie, but it was pretty good. I think my favorite is still Winter Soldier. I think it is. But I will tell you, he's been nominated two times before, right? For Chaplin, and then for one of my favorite comedies of all time, Tropic Thunder, which is just a hilarious movie. Hilarious. Just hilarious. He was Brie. Yeah, Heath Ledger. My oldest swears he is a superhero. Marvel almost always comes out with another movie around his birthday, which is in 5 days. That's funny. Well, if it's going to be in late April, early May, Carrie, then that's always going to be the case. These Marvel movies will be coming out around that time. You're right, LaFord. Robert Downey Jr.'s put a lot behind him. But it was good. But I have to tell you, one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I'm not a comic book guy. I don't think I've ever even read a comic book my whole life. But I love Nebula. That actress, what she brings to that character and everything, fantastic. I think that character she is so good too. And she's really good in Endgame. Really good, has some good lines. She's very understated, very soft spoken. I really loved the part Nebula played in this. So it was good. It was good. Yeah, I saw Joaquin Phoenix. I've seen the trailer for that, Derek. Yes. There's a new Joker movie coming out. Right. So I just wondered if anybody saw it. Once again, do not post any spoilers on here. Layla, you like Tropic Thunder too. It's fantastic. Layla, if you ever haven't, you got to watch the DVD with the commentary with Ben Stiller, Jack Black, and Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. stays in character the entire director's commentary. It's fantastic. It's as funny as the movie. It's funny as the movie. It's fantastic. Doval says, yes, Nebula is the best. She is. She really is. Really good. So there's that. Let's get to a little Unfound stuff now. Once again, for any transcribers that are watching right now or may watch this, if you did not get an email from me about a week and a half ago, you should have. Check your inbox, check your spam folder, because I need some information from you, if you want to get paid. So I suggest that you go back and look for it. Like I said, I think it would have been maybe around April. Let me think about this. 30th, 29th, 26th. About April 20th, 21st, something like that. You should have gotten an email from me regarding payment and sending some information back to me. If you did not get it, please check that, because I know that you'd like to be compensated. So I want to talk about it again. Of course, I talked about it last Friday during the episode, and then I need to announce it again because I think some transcribers are still finding it for the first time. Yeah, Layla, you got to watch the director's commentary for Tropic Thunder. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah, Gene, I didn't see due date, Gene, so I can't comment on that with Robert Downey Jr. I just think he's really turned his life around. He seems like a great guy too. All the interviews and everything, he just seems like a great guy, and I'm glad that he's turned it around. He has so much talent. So many, famous people, actors, actresses, have dealt with what he's dealt with and then never come back from it. So I give him all the credit in the world. Hey, James, what's going on? Good to see you. Not his final fight with Russell Crowe with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the movie Gladiator, to tell you the truth. I know that got the Academy Awards and everything. Just really not my thing. Just Dina Cherie, I'm gonna read that. Okay. So transcribers. So I need to talk about what happened last week. Why was it that we didn't have an episode? What exactly went on there? And I'm just gonna be honest with all of you. I had a couple guests flake. Can't put it any other way. I thought that, it would have been that Saturday. I left a wedding early. One of my best friends here in Florida was getting married. I went to the wedding, went to a little bit of the reception. I went home early to conduct an interview, and I got no called, no showed with a guest. And then you'll remember last Wednesday, I even talked about how I thought I was going to be doing an interview, and I told you about the case last Wednesday, and that guest no called, no showed on me too. So it was a frustrating week, as you can imagine, and I want to give a shout out to the listener Maria, who suggested I take a bunch of the questions that I've answered on these Wednesday night shows and then turn that into an episode, because there probably are a lot of people who listen to the program, download on Friday, but maybe have never tuned on a Wednesday night for me to answer those questions. So I thought that was a fantastic suggestion. So that's what I did. And I ended up answering, I think, about 15 questions. I'm sure if you tune in every week, you probably knew what the answers were going to be before I answered them. But for a lot of people, they probably had never heard me answer some of those questions about, why I don't talk about, what's my favorite case and Crime Con and how I got started and do I get emotionally invested in these cases, etc. Well, I'm sure a lot of people never heard me answer those questions before. So I was happy to do it last Friday. And just to be honest with you, the nice thing, I could record that fairly quickly. I did that Thursday into Friday, and I could get it done pretty quickly without having to type too much stuff. I just answered it off the top of my head. Yeah, I did an interview with Howard Stern. I saw that LaFord with Robert Downey Jr. Right? Yes, Courtney, I agree. But the good news is that I have interviews for this Friday's and next Friday's episodes already done. I did 2 interviews yesterday that went really, really well. I cannot thank those guests enough. I really thank them. And so we're gonna have this Friday. I'll be talking about this Friday's case later. And then I've already done the interview for next Friday's case, which is nice, which means I have a little time, some wiggle room here to get some other things done and that involve Unfound. And then in addition, putting everything away in this new place. So that'll be good. Carrie, it's bad enough when someone no calls, no shows, but when you alter mega plans like that, I know, Carrie. I know. Blaze said, I thought it was great. It would be nice if you did a show like that. Just talking is so nice. Well, Blaze, I appreciate that, but I would not get used to that. Okay. In fact, I've already decided that the next time that happens, and I want you to know that hasn't happened too many times. As many interviews as I've done, 130 of them or something, or more than that, having 2 happen in the same week is fairly, I mean, that's just the small probabilities coming together. But I will tell you, next time probably what I will do is that I will probably just post an old episode, because I realize that a lot of people have found this program and maybe haven't gone back to the beginning, and so this will give them an opportunity to hear some of those old cases, maybe like Rosemary Gayhart that we did very early on, or Jason Jolkowski's, or Kelly Rothwell's, or one of those that I think a lot of people don't even know that we've done. That's very possible. So probably that's what I'll do next time. But trust me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But but don't get used to me talking for an entire episode. Do not get used to that. That happens, Bree. You're right. Justino, I appreciated the mention, but you don't have to do that every time, brother. It's the least I can do. I know that, but you can't stop me. You can't stop me, Justino, because I'm going to keep doing it. Carrie says 2 interviews and a move. I'm a busy guy, Carrie. Try to get it all done. When people have time to talk, I'm there. And I got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. I have a conversation at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I have a training session at noon. And then, just to tell you all, I can't tell you what the case is right now, but a cop called me today. Left me a message, heard I had done an interview with somebody, had talked to somebody, and they want to talk to me about it. I can't tell you what case it is. I will tell you this, it's not Tom Brown's case. It's some other case that the detective wants to talk to me about the conversation I had with somebody. And so I have to call him back tomorrow. And then I have to complete recording Friday's episode. So I got a lot of things going on to do tomorrow. Thanks, Derek. Yes, follow Sherry's suggestion. Please invite friends to the discussion group. We only need 47 to hit 5,000. Yeah, I cannot thank all of you enough. Derek asked me a Steelers question. Okay, Derek, if you want to go there. The Steelers haven't won a Super Bowl in 10 years with Antonio and Le'Veon Bell gone. Do you think think Ben will still have it in him? I think that's what you meant to say. I do, Derek. I do. I think as long as the Steelers have Ben Roethlisberger, they always have a chance. It'll be when he's gone and he's retired that a lot of people who are Ben haters will wish they had wish the Steelers still had him. That's my attitude. We know that the NFL is a quarterback's game. If you don't have a good quarterback, the chances of winning are not good. And Ben Roethlisberger, a Tom Brady, a lot of these other guys, they're once in a generation players. And I think the Steelers have underperformed with Ben as quarterback, but I don't think that's his fault. Um, Cherie, that's true. We did come to YouTube because a lot of people don't do Facebook. That's right. Courtney, thank you. Uh, we play the Patriots week 1. No, the Steelers do. That's unacceptable. I don't know. We got to play them eventually anyway, I guess. Yeah, Khalil. Yeah, Nathan will never call. I think you're right. I write about that, Khalil boy. We're going to talk about him in a second. But yes, I do have to call. You know, my policy is when people call me, if I don't know the phone number, I don't pick up. So the phone rang, and I didn't know the number, and then the guy left a message. Then I checked it, and I was actually in. Derek was driving me back from dropping off the U-Haul when I checked the message, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But I still had too many things to do with the move, so I said, That's just gonna have to wait till tomorrow." But if I think that after the conversation I'm allowed to talk to you about the conversation, I will do so. If I don't think that I'm allowed to, then I won't be able to, and I apologize. Stairway to 7, Derek. That's right. Stairway to 7. But so that's what happened last week. It was not for a lack of trying, and I'm telling you that it's not because I'm not talking to people. I am, and Emily's been doing a great job finding people and everything. It's just some weird thing that happened. But I want you to know, nobody is ever banned from appearing on Unfound, even if it does something like that happen, and that's why I haven't used the names. But nobody's ever banned, but it certainly makes my job difficult because it's a zero-sum game. If I'm working on these cases over here, then I can't work on these cases over here. That's just the way it is. Derek, I agree with you, Derek, regarding Tom Brady. I agree. All right, so let's talk about the news that I first heard about it. I will tell you that I first heard about it because a former deputy in Hemphill County sent me a link to the article. But and then Penny sent me the article, and I'm going to read it to you here. That Pine Gregory, I know that there was a lot of talk going on last week, and there were a ton of comments, and I'm sure Carrie had her hands full monitoring all of it. But for sure, Pine Gregory, deputy in Hemphill County, has been fired. Okay? For sure. It's no longer a rumor or anything like that. And it sounds to me like I'm going to just read the article to you, and then we can talk about it. So let me pull that up. All right. It's a fairly long article, but I'm going to read it, so just bear with me if you haven't read it yet. The headline is, and this is in the Canadian Record, Hemphill County Deputy Pine Gregory dismissed following county attorney's letter. Okay, here we go. Deputy Pine Gregory was fired last week. His dismissal followed a letter sent by Hemphill County Attorney Kyle Miller to area attorneys last month, advising that he would no longer accept any cases handled by Gregory. On Friday, Sheriff Nathan Lewis, this past Friday, so like 5 days ago, Sheriff Nathan Lewis confirmed the news that Gregory is no longer employed by the Hemphill County Sheriff's Office. Pressed for more information, Lewis declined to comment, saying he had been advised to say nothing due to pending litigation. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that. No more specifics were offered. In this letter dated April 3rd, Miller said he was refusing all cases submitted by Deputy Gregory for prosecution, citing factual issues which cast doubt on the officer's credibility. Miller said he had already refused multiple cases submitted by Deputy Gregory for lack of sufficient probable cause and or misapplication of the law. That letter coincided with another letter from the 31st District Attorney Franklin McDonough sent to the defense bar on the same day, advising them that Sheriff Lewis was the subject of a Texas Rangers investigation. The letters were sent to members of the defense bar practicing in Hemphill County, explaining that they had received the disclosure because they had been assigned to or hired as counsel or previously served as counsel on a criminal case in which either Sheriff Lewis or Deputy Gregory had been material witnesses or investigating officers. That news first broke early last month on Amarillo's ABC News Channel 7. Soon after that story aired, Texas DPS Sergeant Cindy Barkley confirmed that the Rangers had finished their investigation of Lewis and that the report was on McDonough's desk for his review. Neither the details of that investigation nor the Rangers' findings have been released to the public. However, the record has confirmed that no charges against any local official have been filed in Hemphill County, nor has a grand jury been impaneled here to hear any charges that might be related to the investigation. News of the Rangers' investigation quickly led to public speculation that it was connected to the Thanksgiving 2016 disappearance of Canadian high school student Thomas Brown, whose remains were discovered earlier this year on January 9th near Lake Marvin. Barkley dismissed these rumors in her statement, stating bluntly that the investigation was unrelated to the Brown case. Sheriff Lewis has long been the target of criticism over his handling of that case, fueled in part by the Brown family's accusations that he was involved in Brown's disappearance or in what some suspected was a cover-up. These accusations led to a firestorm of rumor and innuendo on social media, one that flared again last month with this news. Upon learning the Rangers' investigation had concluded, the Canadian Records submitted open records requests to both the district attorney and the Texas Rangers, seeking release of the investigation report. Neither office has responded. The request is still pending. All right, so there you go. So Pine Gregory is gone. And you know, I thought there were some interesting things. And first of all, I want to thank the Canadian Record for posting that. I've heard enough from enough people in Canadian to tell me that they feel like the Canadian Record is afraid of Nathan Lewis, that they're in Nathan Lewis's back pocket. I've gotten messages like that, not recently, but I've gotten them in the past, of course, especially in those few months after we covered Thomas Brown's disappearance. But I'm glad that they came out with that. It seems like they came out with it as fast as they could, even though we know that like a week ago there were a lot of rumors and things circulating around. And at that time, Cherie and I had talked about this, and I think maybe even I talked to some other people about this, that I said, I'm not going to post anything on it. I'm not going to make a comment on it or anything until I get it from some source that I trust. So now, and I do trust the Canadian Record, and I think it's now obvious that Pine Gregory is fired. Now, we're still left with some issues. We don't know what cases, and I'm going to guess it's not Thomas Brown's case, but other things that happened, that what Pine Gregory was exactly doing. Okay? What does it mean when in the article they say there were factual issues on his, which cast doubt on the officer's credibility? And Miller said he had already refused multiple cases submitted by Deputy Gregory for lack of sufficient probable cause and or misapplication of the law. Okay? Now, Pine Gregory has been in law enforcement for a long time. You see stories about him going back to 2003. How is he still misapplying the law? How is that still going on? And for lack of sufficient probable cause, does that mean he was pulling people over for no reason? And maybe it was even bigger than that, bigger issues than that. I don't know. The problem is we don't know. We don't know what kind of cases that Pine Gregory was, not handling correctly. We don't know. Do I think we'll eventually find out? I think there's a decent chance, especially if people file a civil lawsuit or something like that, then I think we will find out. But I don't know of what these specific instances are at this time. And I'm sure, though, I probably get a lot of rumors and innuendos and things. about what they are, but I will not go on the record with anything until I know something is solid. What do we got here? Carrie says, I'm very impressed that they did post it. Great job to them for the Canadian record. Yeah. Bree, maybe Pine Gregory was arresting people for no reason and tried to cover it up. Just a thought. Bree, that could be. I mean, the thing is, in the article, it leaves it a lot open to a lot of interpretation. This could be something as simple that he said somebody was speeding and they said they weren't, and he didn't have enough proof that they were speeding. It could be something simple as that, or it could be something a lot worse. I don't know. I think we'll eventually find out if something is bad enough that somebody wants to take him to court. Then I think we will find out. Jasmine's probably the best that he was fired. Well, I agree with you, Jasmine. This is the point I made back when it was exposed back at the beginning of April that they weren't accepting any of his cases. Well, if they can't accept any of his cases, what's he doing? What's he doing there? Just riding around in a sheriff's vehicle. I don't know. He's no better than a mall cop if he can't arrest anybody. So I think that he had to be fired. If this was going to be the attorney's attitude there, then he had to be fired. He had to be let go. Carrie says, I just hope a lot of really bad people don't get charges dropped due to him and technicalities. Well, that is the other part of it, Carrie. I mean, I'm sure there's some defense attorney that is looking into that right now. I have no doubt about that at all. That is probably going to be something that's a good possibility. And that's just not, for Texas, but that would be anywhere. When they come across police eventually who are misapplying the law or crooked cops or corrupt cops, that's going to be something that happens. It just is. Bree says that happened in Baltimore a few years back. Cops were arresting people for drugs, and the cops planted the drugs and intimidated people, stealing money and other things. Bree, I'm guessing that's true, and it happens a lot of places. It does. It happens a lot of places. Cherie says the record didn't port on it a month ago or so. I'm not impressed. Okay, Cherie, you're allowed to not be impressed. You surely are. But Carrie says people have got off charges later for a lot less before. Yeah, I just, of course, Hemphill County is not Chicago. So I don't know, the kind of crimes that are happening there. I hear about a lot of crazy things. I don't know how much of it is true. I don't live there. Of course, we know that they have a murder case that they haven't solved yet. But I don't know if they have any other unsolved big crimes like that in that county that Pine or Nathan or anybody else could be responsible for. I don't know. So was this a situation where Pine was just looking to stuff to do? I don't know. Or it could be something nefarious. I don't know. Now, what caught my ear regarding this as well is that Nathan Lewis declined when he was pressed for more information. Lewis declined to comment, saying he'd been advised to say nothing due to pending litigation. Well, I'd like to hear more about that. What is the pending litigation? Maybe it's exactly what we're talking about here. That there are people who are now suing Hemphill County Sheriff's Office because of Pine Gregory. Maybe that's the reason that Nathan Lewis can't comment. Or you could look at it another way, and maybe it has litigation to do with other things, maybe involving Nathan Lewis or even other deputies. Hard to say. All he's saying is that he can't comment due to pending litigation. Well, that means to me there are other things still going on that don't necessarily have to do with Pine getting fired. Okay? This is, I guess what I'm saying is, it doesn't sound like Pine getting fired is the end of this. That's how I would interpret it. Yeah, I did, Ed. Look up gun trace task force. I totally believe you, Agree. I get it. D says, I'm hoping some stuff comes to light. Well, I think so. I think it will eventually. I think that if what Pine Gregory did was serious enough, then there will be criminal charges against him. And then it'll be on the public record and everybody will know. So, Carrie, or his attorney told him to shut up because paperwork on him is still sitting on a desk. Regarding Nathan Lewis, that could be. You know, it's, you know, once again, because I've never been a law enforcement officer, I don't know how to look at what is the responsibility of a police officer's boss when the police officer is doing things wrong. You know, where does the buck stop? I don't know. You know, I would think that if Nathan Lewis was approving of Pine Gregory's paperwork and everything, then I'm guessing Nathan Lewis is going to be in trouble too. But I don't know. I don't know how that all works. Okay, maybe I should talk to James Pearson about that and get all back to you. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. Bree says, has anything happened with Thomas's case in particular? Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge, Bree. A lot of things going on in Hemphill County right now, but not involving him. Now, I know what the DPS law officer said. Barkley dismissed these rumors in her statement, stating bluntly that the investigation was unrelated to the Brown case. Well, you know, I've made the argument, would the Texas Rangers even be in Hemphill County if it hadn't been for Thomas Brown's case? You know, I don't know. But my instincts tell me that given that, see, here's my idea about what happened. I have no proof of it, but it makes logical sense to me. I think what happened was that, of course, Penny got the case taken out of Nathan Lewis's hands. So the Rangers, the Attorney General, they all got involved. And in doing so, they probably had to start looking at Pine Gregory's, Nathan Lewis's work, what they had been doing. My opinion is that in the process of doing this, they started seeing other things that didn't quite make sense. That makes sense to me, all right? Because the opposite doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that they just happened to come into this county where all of this stuff with Thomas Brown was going on, and on top of the fact, coincidentally, Thomas Brown gets them involved in Thomas's disappearance. That seems like a lot of coincidences coming together, whereas it seems much more simpler to me that because of getting involved in Thomas Brown's case, because of what Penny did, they ended up having to go through all of the sheriff's paperwork and everything and found abnormalities. That makes a lot more sense to me. Now, once again, that doesn't mean that Pine Gregory and Nathan Lewis had anything to do with Thomas's disappearance. All it really means is that in looking into it, the Rangers might have found some things that they said, this isn't right. And then maybe they started talking to the attorneys there, and the attorneys were like, you know what, now that you talk about it, paperwork is a little weak, and some of these things that they've been doing do kind of seem not right to us. That makes a lot of sense to me, but I have no proof of that. Carrie says, I still feel that even if unrelated, they stumbled upon other issues during the investigation but that is just my opinion. Carrie, that's the way I feel. Bree, Nathan shouldn't be involved in the case anyway. He's kind of a suspect. Well, He shouldn't be involved because he's not in the case anymore. But remember, the reason he is not involved anymore is not because he's considered a suspect. The reason he's not involved anymore is because Penny took the legal means that a citizen can do to get the signatures, to get the Rangers to come in because of her concerns about the investigation. Of course, we know what she thinks, but I think it was just solely that, she went about doing what she did just because she thought Nathan Lewis was involved. I don't think she would have gotten enough signatures. Instead, I think the reason she was successful in getting Nathan Lewis and the entire sheriff's department off the case is because it seems there were so many mistakes made. And, and we know what those are, and I'm not going to, line them up for you again. I think Thomas Case got the ball rolling, Khalil Boy. That's one way to put it, Khalil Boy. Yeah, sure. Courtney says, I think it might go back to the Thomas Brown case. It just depends kind of what was it, the chicken or the egg? Did the investigation into Thomas' case lead them to these abnormalities with Pine Gregory's work? Or was it totally something unrelated that they were already looking at Pine Gregory and then, Thomas's case happened? I don't know. I think we'll eventually know. We just don't know right now. But he's gone. And, the truth is this. There are enough public things on the public record to know that Pine Gregory should have never been a deputy in Hemphill County. Should have never been there. Should have never been there. Whether he had anything to do with Thomas's, it doesn't matter. Whatever. He did not have what I think would be considered a good reputation even before becoming a deputy. He shouldn't have been there. So maybe him getting fired was just, maybe he shouldn't have been there in the first place. Maybe this firing is just setting everything right now. Because even in Nathan Lewis' case, whether you like him or hate him, he won an election. What are you going to do? Whereas with Pine Gregory, he should have never been hired. So that's that. Let me answer a question D asked me, kind of getting way off the subject. Way off the subject. D asked me, because I guess, D, you've had some tornadoes in your area today or maybe yesterday, maybe both days. If I've ever seen a twister or a tornado. Kind of. I remember one time in Vegas, probably wasn't, I'm going to say it was like 2008 or 2009. I was coming back from Kingman, Arizona for work that I used to do. Yes, Kingman, Arizona, where Tyler Stice disappeared. And I was coming back from down there that way. And I was on one of these desert, flat highways there going up toward Boulder City in Nevada. And on one of these, I guess it's not really a salt flat, but one of these flat areas that are just off the highway. You see them very often when you're out west, especially in Nevada, California, out in the desert. There was a huge dust devil. Huge. It must have been, I don't know. And I took a picture of it and I couldn't find it. I know I have that picture somewhere. It was huge. It was the largest dust devil that I've ever seen. And it was just working its way across the desert. Wasn't near the highway. That's not, I guess it's a kind of tornado. And I'm sure I wouldn't have wanted for it to hit me, standing out there. If I was standing out there, I surely wouldn't have wanted to be hit by it. But it was a big one. And people were stopped. They were taking pictures and videos of it. And that's the closest I've gotten to seeing a tornado. I've actually experienced an earthquake when I lived in Las Vegas. That would have been October 1999. But a real tornado that could destroy houses and everything, no. Nope. Although we used to have in Western Pennsylvania, you do get tornadoes, and there was quite a bit of damage. Like early '80s, they had like a really bad tornado squall, multiple tornadoes all over the place, but I never saw any of them. Bree says I've never seen one. Carrie says I was in the McDonald's over I-44 Turnpike when they went under warning. I was racing out of that area as fast as I could. Khalil says he's seen a lot of water spouts. See, I haven't seen any water spouts either. Just that dust devil that one time. That was a pretty. I thought it was a pretty big deal. It was pretty impressive. It was going real slow. It was turning fast, but it was moving real slow. Very weird. Very, very interesting to see. Bree says I experienced an earthquake my first day of high school. Wow. Huh. That's interesting, Bree. Huh. Okay. We just have volcanoes in the Northwest, right? Mount St. Helens. Yes, Layla. Not a dust devil. Okay. Sharon says, I remember that earthquake in 1999. Do you? Okay, so are you in Las Vegas, Sharon, or what? Because I was living in East Tropicana at the time. I was on the second floor. I woke up at like 3 in the morning, and my horizontal blinds were rocking back and forth like this. And I was like, did I leave a window open? Is the wind blowing? And then I noticed that my bed was shaking too, and I was like, oh, this is an earthquake. It's the only one I've ever experienced. Vicky, what's going on? How you doing? God, you can make it tonight. Okay, lots of tornadoes in Pennsylvania this so far. Really, Angel, I didn't know that. Tracy, lost everything we owned on the Fritch, Texas. Okay. Yeah, I know. I watched that documentary about that one tornado that killed some of those guys from the Weather Channel. I've watched a couple different documentaries on that. It's just crazy. I would take an earthquake over tornado any day. Well, I don't know about that, Carrie. At least with tornadoes, you kind of know that the storm is coming and stuff. I don't know about that. I don't know. I have to think about that. I know that somebody else asked me another question. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going over here to my other computer, my Mac, because okay, the Mac, the one that I actually use to record the episodes. Oh, Brie Lou had asked me, how much do I dislike moving? You know what? I've moved so many times that I wouldn't say I don't like it. I'm pretty used to it. I moved, from Pennsylvania to Las Vegas, and then I moved like 7 times when I was there, and then I moved to Florida, and then I moved again. As long as you don't have a lot of furniture, it's easy. It's when the furniture, if you start collecting couches and beds, and I just have like a leather chair here that's my grandfather's from like 60 years ago that I have. Everything else, I don't have much else. So Layla says Mount St. Helens blew the day before my 21st birthday. I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of films on that. California, but it was crazy. I'll never forget October 1999. Yep, Sharon, I remember like it was yesterday. I really do, because it's the only one. Carrie, raised in LA County, California. I'll tell you, for anybody from Southern California, my brother Michael had moved to California. The second day he was there is when the Northridge earthquake hit. Second day he was there. That's funny. Okay, I'll answer another question, and then I want to cover one piece of news, and then we are going to. It's already 10 o'clock. Carol asked me, "Can you tell us the very first episode of Unfound you did? Who was the person was and the date you started Unfound?" Sure. The first episode that it's kind of gotten switched around a little bit. Truth be known. But now, as far as the history of Unfound goes, Because what happened, here's actually technically the first Unfound episode with Ben Charles Badilla. But I posted it and something went wrong and I had to take it down and redo it. So the first episode that got posted, that stayed posted, was Suzanne Lyles. So, and that was early September 2016, to answer Carol's question. Blaze said, been in an earthquake in Japan, 2 volcanoes in Iceland, lost my roof tiles and flooded basement in Hurricane Sandy, New Jersey. I guess what we're saying is stay away from Blaze. I was on the highway when Northridge hit. We had just taken dad to work. Yep, my brother, I forget where he lived in LA. I think he lived in Long Beach. And yeah, the Northridge earthquake hit. So there you go. Let's see if we got anything else here. No other questions. Okay. Desiree Faris, if you don't know, one of the suspects that we talked about for that episode, his name was Jason Keegan. Let me get to that. He's going to federal penitentiary. I think when I did that interview, we talked about how his sentencing was coming up, and he and a bunch of other people who were not mentioned in the episode are going to federal penitentiary, and he's going to be in there a long time for crystal meth trafficking. These are things that happened maybe just a few weeks after Desiree went missing. And it doesn't seem like he's going to, I'm inclined to believe he does know what happened to Desiree, but it doesn't look like he's going to give it up to try to get any leniency or anything like that. So, I don't know. It was Carrie who sent me the information regarding all of that, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. So you might want to all look into that. I think that they've been posting about that at Desiree Faris's Facebook page. Until Carrie told me about it, I really didn't know about it. Been a little busy the last few days. So I just wanted to bring that up to you. So you can go to Desiree Faris's Facebook page if you want to read more about that. Let me move this down. Okay. Let me go over here. Okay. Yeah, 15 years, Carrie. Thank you. Okay. I want to talk about one news item. Did you see, as you can tell, if you watch this show every Wednesday night, you know I have a lot of problems with the way true crime is handled, is produced, is marketed, etc. And I think that was expressed a little bit on Friday's Q&A episode as well. Here's one more reason. This is one more thing to add on top of everything else. Kelly Ripa, I have nothing against her. Okay, I've never watched her show or anything, but she doesn't particularly bother me either. She and her husband have been signed up to do a true crime series on the Oxygen channel. Now, here's what I know. Any of you who have been listening to Unfound and have listened to a lot of the episodes, if not all of them, but just a lot of them, let's say 50% of them, if you've listened to 50% of Unfound's episodes, you know more about true crime than Kelly Ripa and her husband does. But they're the ones that are getting signed up to host or do some sort of true crime series on Oxygen, and you aren't. That's the problem with true crime these days. All right, it's all about being driven by personalities. It's not being driven by people who know stuff. It's being driven by personalities. It's being driven by marketing. It's being driven by flashiness. And, oh, Kelly Ripa, look, she's an attractive woman. She does this. Oh, we're going to get... That's the problem. One more thing to add on. I'm sure any of you listening and watching tonight would do a better job at putting together a true crime program than Kelly Ripa would. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. But it's a problem. And with her husband, who I I know I know he's somebody, and I don't even have his name written down here. I forget what his name is, but you know, what are you doing? It just as soon as I hear that, I hear it's not serious. It's just something. It's just programming. It just to me it feels like okay, they have a block of time that they need to fill. Hey, Kelly Ripa's available. Let's put her in charge of the show. It's just horrible. And this is the difference with other types of things in our culture. Like if they were doing a TV show about movies, they'd get somebody who has been in films or has been in entertainment and those things to kind of host it or do whatever. If it was about sports, same thing. With true crime, they go for some personality that doesn't know the first thing about it. Drives me nuts. It drives. And I'm not saying I'm supposed to be on the program. I don't care one way or the other. I don't care one way or the other. It's not a jealousy thing. It is a thing of, I want these shows to be serious. I want them to be serious about solving crime. And I don't want them driven, I don't want them to be platforms so some personality can market themselves. That's my problem. Carrie says, Sherry, I think the suspect in Megan's case, getting in gunfight and committing suicide, I think we'll end up finding info that leads to answers in her case. Megan Fogelson. Yeah, I saw the post. I just don't know enough about it. Carol says, yes, you are right, Ed. That's why I've stopped watching cable. That's a good choice, Carol. I agree. Carrie says, he was her co-star in a soap opera. Okay. Kelly Ripa, that's news to me. LaFord Girl says, I'm sure it will be a silly show. Yeah. Carrie says, me too. I had it stuck in my head that Ed covered Megan's case. No, I've not done Megan Fogelson's case. No. Not done it, Carrie. All my children soap opera stars. It really is horrible. I agree, Sherry. Susan, but it says she watches. Snapped. Okay, she watches. All right. I can't take either of them seriously. That show will have only about 15% of the info. Right. That's right, Carol. That's totally true. Because why? Because Kelly Ripa is hosting it, and she needs to get her time to talk and time to, be all Kelly Ripa. Right. That was meant to be snarky. Well, it's good, and I liked it. Next year's Crime Con stars. See, Cherie, I'm buying what you're selling. I am certainly buying what you're selling, Cherie. Thank you for pointing that out. It's just, I just take this stuff seriously, and I don't know. And here's the other thing. Like Detective Kenneth Maines, who's been on Unfound, he's a serious investigator. He did it for a living. He's retired now. But he was one of the hosts for that History Channel Zodiac Killer. I get that. I think that Zodiac Killer personally has been way overdone and everything. But that they had people on there with law enforcement experience, I think that's pretty good. But instead, Oxygen's going for Kelly Ripa. Why can't they get some, if it's Oxygen, and I know that's geared toward women, perfectly fine by me, why don't they get some retired female detective to host it? Some woman with 30 years experience, has dealt with missing persons cases, murders, and everything else. Why not that? Why? Because they figure, we can't market it that way. Well, okay. Well, it's just not a serious program then. Bree says Kelly Ripa just needs a check because her daytime show sucks. I wouldn't know anything about that, Bree, but I'm inclined to agree with you. Okay. We're going on an hour here. Let's get to this week's case. This week, speaking of Megan's, we are doing the disappearance of Megan Lancaster this Friday. It's an episode that I still have to record it tomorrow, all of it. The episode is being called Little Black Book. And this is a disappearance that happened on April 3rd, 2013. So it's just over 6 years old. And it happened in Portsmouth, Ohio. Portsmouth, Ohio, you're going to find out, is a really corrupt, dirty city. Okay? Now, the reason this episode is called Little Black Book is because Megan had gotten herself into some drugs and some prostitution and some things, and she kept a notebook, multiple notebooks, to hear her sister-in-law, who's the guest for the episode, Katie Lancaster. Katie is married to Megan's brother. And Katie has these notebooks that when Katie would meet men to do certain things, she would write their name down in this book and write things about them. And it turns out that in this book, in particular, and we talk about them in the episode, one is a prominent defense attorney by the name of Mike Moran, M-E-A-R-E, R-A-N or R-E-N? M-E-A-R-E or A-N. The chief of police in Portsmouth was in the book under a just like a letter, not his name, but a letter that they finally figured out meant to be him. And also a prominent judge in the area in her book. Katie told me, and then you will hear it, there were about 120 men's names in these notebooks. And you'll remember back in March that I posted an article about Portsmouth, Ohio, and how corrupt it is and everything else. Well, we talk about that in the episode too. And you are going to have to determine if you think that her keeping this book of people was what caused her to disappear, or was it her addiction? Was it a combination of the two? It will be all up to you, but this is the reason we're calling this episode Little Black Book. Even though the book was not little, even though it was not black, we know what Little Black Book means. Most of us who are old enough to remember when people actually had books where they wrote down people's names and numbers and everything in them instead of these days where we just use our phones. So, and of course, these guys, Mike Moran is claiming that he says he never even knew Megan Lancaster. And it just shows you that there are a lot of corrupt things going on out there. You know, these small towns. Of course, we know a lot of you, Chris, are probably going to think of Canadian Texas first, but it just seems that a lot of good people who live in these towns just let it go. They let it go. And it's horrible. You know, they just know that some of these people aren't on the up and up. And it sounds to me like that's what's going on in Portsmouth, Ohio as well. So that is the episode for this Friday. Let me read some of your comments. D, see, I'm Magnum PI and all the other you down. See, I'm Magnum PI and all the others are you down crime soap operas they have. I don't know what that means, D. Yeah, that was a good one, Cherie. Free says they could have hired Nancy Grace or something. Well, I wouldn't feel too good about Nancy Grace either, but at least that's going in the right direction, Bree, just to be honest. They can't afford Nancy Grace. Oxygen reminds me of The Record, a little late. Michaela, I would pay for cable if you ever got your own television show. Thank you, Michaela. Love the podcast, new here, but we listen to you at our off hours processing shift, 6 a.m. at Victoria's Secret in Amarillo. Well, thank you. Thank you, Michaela. That's spectacular. Thanks for listening. And thank you for tuning in tonight for the first time, I guess. Thank you very much. Ed, random comment, but thank you for the video of Nicholas. The case was very interesting. The daughter is a great woman. You interview with such professionalism and tact. Charlotte M7, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. I don't think I've seen you in the YouTube show before, so maybe if this is your first time, I appreciate you for checking it out. Yeah, if people don't know, what had happened with Nicholas's video on YouTube is I had a wrong picture in there. And Fran told me about it, and I finally had some time to fix it. So it got reposted, so some of you might have seen it for the first time. But it had actually been up for a while. But one of the pictures in the, because what happens is I take the audio from the podcast and then I put it in iMovie on my Mac, and then I put pictures to go along with it to turn it to an MP4 file. Well, one of the pictures that I used was wrong. So I had to fix it. And finally got around to doing that. Most things in here don't react well to bullets. Sean Connery, one of my favorite movies. Khalil boy. I know. Yep, I know it. I love that movie. And yeah, among other shows, I'm feeling Gentleman Jack. I don't know any of those. Okay. So we have Megan Lancaster. The interview is going to be with her sister-in-law, Katie, who has done a ton. She has done so much that she actually got put in handcuffs and got thrown in jail for a day because of her work on Megan's case. And I really, really need to thank her because recently Katie had some surgery. She's going to be fine. But she's been in a lot of pain and everything. But she says, you know what? I need to tough this out. And she toughed it out on Tuesday morning and did a great job. And I really appreciate her. And I hope we can help. So what did we talk about tonight? We talked about me moving to the new place in the background. We talked about Avengers Endgame, if anybody's seen it yet. We talked about another message to transcribers. We talked about why there was no case last week and what exactly happened. We talked about Pine Gregory. We talked about Desiree Faris' case. I took some questions from you regarding tornadoes, for example. Talked about Kelly Ripa. And then finally, we talked about Megan Lancaster, who will be the case for this Friday. Carrie says, tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of Desiree Faris missing. Keep them in your thoughts. Yes, please do. Please do. And with that, I'm going to go. I'm going to try to, I have to clear off my bed, find out where I'm going to put all the stuff that's on my bed right now so I can get some sleep tonight. You can probably tell I got a sinus thing going too, probably from the air conditioning. But I am in the new place, and I don't know where I'm going to set up for these YouTube videos from now on, but I picked this place. Maybe this is the place I'll use from now on. I don't know. But thank you all. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We got it done, even though I came in a little late because I was messing around with a few things. But you will hear me on Friday. And for those of you in the think tank, we will talk about Megan Lancaster's case on Sunday night. So good night, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Cannot thank you all enough. And stay safe out there. Good night.